Rangi Sarah Toma Mevane Nyamumba Tunga Laying and Tower Southern Soying Baji, Council Korean and Unicorn and Ranhuki Koron Kori lay take it, lays on Nambaji Sound to Esti Nyamumba won't chase on the doctors.
So from the beginnerless lifetime that how we are wandering in this cyclic existence just because of all this afflicted mind, which is very powerful and which is very strong, that never ever we try to tame them and try to control them, and that is why just we are wandering in this samsara.
The level of thoughts about taking the change come now. They do not so by young they call late young.
And since we have already accumulated various kinds of action, the karma, and according to that, there are all these consequences or the fruition that which we are experiencing, all different kinds of happiness and pain and suffering that in this life.
Tangji Sano Tongjena, Nitin Shirton Doari to the Nama Nasoji Hurdy, and Nitin Mil Chayana, or long and passing Ramendaji.
And in general, that the 6 realms of sentient being, of course, they are different from many ways, and their experiences are different. And moreover, even within the human being, also there are just many different levels of the experience of life. And in general, we all are just being as a human being, we are similar to each other, and then being ripened as a human being based on our karma. In a way, we should be just similar in many ways. So, in this way, everything that which in certain ways we have similarity and certain ways it is different, that everything depend upon that our action, the karma, whatever we have just created in our past lifetime, and in a way that we are just experiencing all different levels of sufferings of pain or happiness, that is also depend upon the just action.
Demo Sipo Yabodi or something at Remato, Doboti or some city.
So, in this way, in this whole world, that each and every individual sentient beings, everyone they are wishing to be just happy and nice, and there is no any single sentient being who wish to be suffer in their life. And similar like even the animals, they are also same like that. But all these different levels of life, these are existing because of the just their action, the karma, power of the karma, and the karma itself, that good and bad karma. According to that, there are all these different levels of experiences. So, although we could not just really examine or think about the karma, but it is just important we try to just examine and try to understand about the law of karma, and then try to just follow according to its just causes and condition, in a way just having all this mindfulness and then the conscientiousness. And it is also said that being putting so much effort in certain action, it is better just accumulate a merit like a small sparkling of fire. So, in general, there are many ways to accumulate the merit, but especially in this secret mantrayana, the practices based on this deity, visualization of deities and accumulating the deity mantra, and then making all these offerings, and then taking refuge and bodhicitta and mandala and these practices, in a way that there are many different skillful methods in the bhajarana that one can accumulate the merit in a more faster way.
Because Tata Lenge Sadi, Tata Lende di Mengivaji, Tata Lezomo Sadi, Tata Rebo Mengivaji, Penamenda Jedu, Kambachi, Lanson Najagro, Tenongi, the Gugier method.
We, in a way, just we are thinking that right now, when we do some negative karma, then instantly it is just ripen in that way. Or when we do something virtuous action, then instantly ripen its fruition. And that just thinking everything should happen immediately, as if just we hold the trigger of the gun, then that bullet goes on. Similar like that, thinking everything should happen, right now.
Marco Gital, Pela, Tembahi, Bekanga Momo Zoe to go in now. Tembahi no emitted only. Lanson Ganga Jim Mundi, or that lady as a tear is a Marico, to just a tear as a Marison, more chief monkey than some mechanics.
Even in Tibet, when that communist started just taking over, and lots and lots of people who are just under their control, and they started creating many negative karmas, and then at that moment, these people, they really does not suffer or does not ripen any fruition, and many people got confused that, oh, maybe there is no law of karma, and maybe nothing is just happening to them.
Loredo, Mamando, they're not Lenga son, Yano Mandra, Litin Delayon, Naton, Natonre, Yan Shalom Dogere, didn't say in Mamadu, Borchet and the other radios.
But as time goes by, and then after a few years later, then these people who have been just creating all this negative karma, then they really just suffer and have many pains, and then they die. Even within this lifetime, some karma has been already ripened to them. They had a very critical situation of sickness, and die in very different way, and then everything collapse in its way.
Sorry, meeting David and the Silly in this
some even that the eyeball, just a kind of sickness happened to them, that eyeball just come out, and then cannot fix anything, and no any kind of medicine, and they have to just suffer for a while.
Sorry, Kepalu, sorry, combatant, Natagi, remarking the chair. They not pay Nasa to the chamber, Coronto, young Minda or a day in the Masiki matches out of the Chit Mavene, Sangal remote and it is in the emotions.
And then some have like bone fractures and waist broken, and then like legs that have a certain kind of just sickness and kind of wounds, and everything is just kind of burning into pieces. And then many of them, they were just the communist official peoples, so they just tried to just do their best treatment, but nothing could just really help. Nothing could just be happen, and then they just died in that way, just after suffering for a while.
But Lengas members on the Duke, Lord Jude needs some pension, but Mevada said something in the Kanga changes. Such as
So most of those who have been just very negative and creating lots of karma during that cultural revolution, all these people within 10-15 years, then they just really went through many different kinds of pains and suffering, and in that way just almost all of them just died within 10-15 years, and that happened not just only one place, everywhere in Tibet.
Nina Tombo, Lengan thought did Lanson Jim, then Jam Marshal go Ben Masik Coronso, Yabo City Coron Ta Tomorindis.
And then just immediately when they do all these kind of negative things, and immediately they could not see any just result, and then even the communists, the Chinese, they also just kind of give them high rank, and in that way they feel pride in that way.
Nina Tendela Ganga Yong Ganga do that's Siman Yerbas. The letter and then Ganga Jimma, it's a similar.
So in this way, they just really ripen all this karma. In a way, they just really suffer a lot after creating all this kind of action, but still compared to really ripening into the next life, just getting reborn in the three Lord realms, to that this present suffering is just really nothing for them.
Jami Koranso communism Tangjo Koran Marco Tower Dijusin Temba Hindu and the mom and Borchembo Yerbas.
And even there is also just lots of militaries, the Chinese military, who just really follow the communist view.
Yeah, there's lots of some of the song that they are going get at the leaches in the economic massive Temba Merchant Lawson, he's on singing, and that not to rent singing, Borchembo Yerbas.
And then later on, these young armies, when they are young and under the control of their just officials, and then they destroy many temples and many monasteries and statues and so forth. And now they are just getting older, and then they just realize they really didn't do a good work, and they have just created lots of negative karma. In that way, these days they are still regretting. And even they themselves just become so just sad, and that they even do lots of people suicide. So in the beginning, that not really having any understanding or idea about all these negative actions, and later on when they really just try to think, and then they understand about all these just the ripening of karma, and then they really just feel sorry about what they have done. So we also similar in that way. When we don't understand the dharma, then we also don't understand the just law of karma, And when we started just understanding the Dharma, then there is a way to understand what is all about the just cause and effect of the karmas. So that to liberate from all this kind of suffering and to really just carry through the proper practice of the law of karma, and to really have the actual protection, and that where we can just really relying upon is only the triple gem and then the supreme dharma.
When Milarepa Nantati is on the Mumbo, the Tibetan teaching Hako, when the Milarepa don't know the.
And even like, for example, like Milarepa, just Milarepa's life history is just already translated into English, and many of you must be knowing about that. In the beginning, also how much karma he has accumulated. And that his just actions were so bad, so negative, that he have created. He killed many just beings, animals, and so forth, that only he could born in 3 lower realms. And when he, just did the black magic to bring all this storm, and many crops and fields were just destroyed, and even just some people. Animals, lots and lots of them were killed. So that kind of just negative action he did, that there is no any other way to go other than the 3 lower realms. And then later on, Milarepa, he also just realized, how much negative karma he have created, and then, he really concentrated to carry through the dharma practice. And as you know, how much hardship he has gone through within these, dharma practices.
Lama David Lame Loma Hajita Genus, the Yenayong, Chitan Masoni, Lega Hada Kudos.
And when Milarepa went to see his master, the Marpa, and although he accepted as his master, but still that not been just given even one single word of Dharma teaching, and asked him to do lots of works. And that the Milarepa's, that Sankar Kudo, which is kind of 9 story, it is not just a toy like small. It is just really very huge, and it has 9 stories. And the outer yard of the 9-story building, which is built by Milarepa, is maybe almost just twice of this size. About the twice size of this one. And then in the center, that the actual building, which has 4 pillar about this size, then being just built up into just high stories. And after just being built up about 2 stories, then again his master, Lama, just asked him to destroy it down again. And that happened just not one time, just several times, just building up and then destroying it. And he really don't have any helper, just everything built by himself. And Marpa's one son that just playing with the rocks, and then he just rolled over a very huge rock. So then Milarepa thought that, oh, this is a nice huge rock, I can just put in the foundation of the building. And after just finished, about 2 stories building, then Marpa just came there. And then when he see this rock, and then he asked, who brought this one? And then they said, your son just playing with this rock, and then kind of rolled over here, so that is why I put it as the foundation. And my sons are that all just the bodhisattva reach into certain level of realization that they cannot be servant of you, so just you have to take this rock out of this building. And then he asked, from where this rock came from, you have to just keep it back there. And then again, he just started building it. And after just he had been just building the building, then again Marpa said, now you bring that stone back and just put it here for foundation. Then again he just just knocked down the building and brought that stone and then again put there. And in that way he just started just building and knocking down several times that according to his master's order. And just these rocks, stones carrying on his back, so his back, everywhere there are wounds. And then he just carried the rocks or stones in front of in front with the hand and on the chest, and then here also have many wounds. And when any time that Marpa is giving some teaching, and then he tried to attend there, and then Marpa became very angry and just he just beat him and then kick him out of the place. So one time there is just a lama named Ngokpa, and he requested Marpa to give the Chakra Sambara empowerment, and at that time then just Mila also want to receive that empowerment, so he don't have nothing to offer. So that is why his Marpa's wife Tamema, she have just a piece of that turquoise, and then she gave it to Milarepa and asked, you can offer this and just attend the empowerment. And then when that Mila offered that turquoise to Marpa, and then instantly Marpa said, just who gave it to you? This is, that my wife Tamema's, and maybe you just have stolen it. And then he became very mad, and he just beaten Milarepa, and also it's called his wife, Pema, and even the Lama Ngokpa and everyone.
Then they Tema Momoshin, then Tama, then they catch it soon. Then Lama the Togun Yambo, the rest of us.
And like that, it has been happened for several times. But anyhow, at the end, then he received all those teachings, and then getting through practice, and then he become equal to his master.
The Garetana Marvalo, the Comba Ling me Comba Masan Dumaris, in a Milarepa Coron did chet of it up there, they did it.
So it is not that Marpa he don't have a house or he don't have any other people to build house, but mainly that the Milarepa himself have so much negative karma that he really need to just purify, and for that purpose he did all this.
The reason the Lamika young Tabazo, they Tamat Milarepa, they don't want to take Deva Mugishin, what does they do us?
So in that way,
Manmet also said, Jaraya system that was in the Chandos.
So in that way, just getting through all this, practice and following the Lama instruction, and then later on he got that kind of just a realization through which that now this state everybody just devoted to him, and also known as the one of the three major masters in the Kaji, known as the Manme Taksum. So the Dharma practice is that we need to have that really going through that hardship with the diligence and with the full-hearted practice, and then once body, speech, mind kind of very stable to really carry through the Dharma practice. That way one can have some fruition.
Lama Parcheki Lama Tsachim Denotaji, Kanga Tende Gentlemen Tomedes.
So most of the just these great lamas, when they met with their lama and when they carry through practice, it is almost like that they went through.
Kembo Naga, Nuku Kembo, what Beijing Pema made a non to rest.
And that Kembo Naga, that is said that Nushul Kembo, that is the just Bimameter's emanation.
Koma, Rindin Pashendiva, Kongitel, Sai Lama 10 numbers. Mama Lama Mumbai, they non meet mistake time.
And then the previous the Drubwang Penor Rinpoche's incarnation, this Palyul Center, also just received some teaching from this Kempo. And then just studying all these academic studies, at the same time receive all these instructions. And then one day that his master said, today now we'll go out for like a just wander out, and then they went into a kind of more quiet place. And then as they went to a quiet, isolated place, and then the Drubwang Rinpoche, he just folded up his just upper garment, and then he let his master just this Kembo Ngaga to sit on that place.
Nidi Tenden Rose on the Pendo, Kalam Superlet, and Masaki Sanji knows.
And one day, then again, Master said, we will just go out. And then they went out, and then somehow that his master became so angry, and he took off his shoe, and then beaten him, just beaten to death. And he's been just very badly beaten, in a way, just beaten to death. And then after some time, just wake up, and then one just become equal to his master. So in this way, if one have that the actual samayas being maintained by the Lama and then the disciple, and moreover having a very firm or stable devotion, as one just carries on, then it seems like something is really good thing is happening. Now in America, if any Lama does like that, maybe just Lama have to go to prison.
Yeah, that
So now this morning the Talung instructions were given. So all the just Tokchen and the Wando practitioner, you can just leave for practice.
Okay, thank you.